Vietnam Veterans Day is March 29th. Now, Ron Harris is a Vietnam veteran, and his group works to educate children and adults on the war and the warrior. Ron, talk about the work you do at the North Carolina Museum of History during Vietnam Veterans Weekend.
We have a number of displays and activities. It all centers around a play called Etchings in Stone, which is a play about the people who visit the Vietnam Veteran Memorial in Washington, D.C. It's each person's individual story, mothers, fathers, children, wives, girlfriends, people who is touched by the wall come to visit, and how they relate to the wall. We are showing it this year on a DVD instead of acting it out real. But 2 years ago when we had it in real life, we had Vietnam vets, their wives, my granddaughter, playing the parts on the stage. The perspective is that you're inside the wall, looking through the wall at the people, visitors coming to the wall, and then you hear their thoughts and things. Very moving, but we set that up, was the initial thing. Then I've got a friend who's got North Carolina's best collection of memorabilia, and he offered to come and set his displays up. And my business partner, Al Ely, years ago made a 1/8 scale replica of the Vietnam Veteran Memorial with all the names. So we decided to set that up. And with that, we've got a guy on a computer who can look up names for you, give you information about how they died and stuff like that. So we've got the wall, we've got the memorabilia, we've got a number of vets have made dioramas of the Vietnam Memorial, of the Vietnam War. We got, I had to look at my thing. Oh, outside, we've got the North Carolina Helicopter Pilots Association brings a, honest to God, helicopter that was flew in Vietnam, but is on a trailer now. It doesn't fly, but it's interesting to have people look at it. 2.5-ton trucks, M1A1 Jeeps. This year we'll have a collection of weapons used in Vietnam, both on the north side and the south side.
Well, why is it important to you to not only educate the public on the different aspects of Vietnam War from the warrior themselves, but also why is it important for you to now be recognized on Vietnam Veterans Day on the 29th?
This display is educational. It's not just for the Vietnam veterans, even though that's who we're looking for, but it's for the children and grandchildren and school children who can come in there and get an idea about what's happening. Wake County Schools has a program called Lessons of Vietnam, where the whole semester is about Vietnam. Great chance for them kids to come down and hear what they've read about and been taught in school, to see the actual memorabilia that was there, the uniforms that was worn and things like that. As far as what does Vietnam Memorial Day mean to me? One of my pet peeves is how veterans were treated Vietnam veterans were treated when they came back. In World War II, they came back to ticker tape parades and celebrations. Korea, they came back to an indifference. There was no parades, but it's just like it didn't happen. But when we came home, that indifference turned completely around to outright hostility, where I have friends that were sped upon and cursed at and called horrible names. And a lot of vets that I know, including myself, didn't want to put Vietnam on the resumes when we came back because of the prejudice against us. And now that's changed. My wife and I went to Las Vegas. We were in Chicago waiting on a layover to catch the flight, and across the hallway came, they opened the door and a group of soldiers came out, men and women came out wearing the battle dress uniforms, and everybody stood up and started clapping. And I was standing against the wall, but I was just crying. And my wife said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Because of what we had to go through, America's finally learned not to make all veterans go through the same thing, not to treat the veterans. Don't blame the warrior for the war," is what I've heard before.